So are you an advanced user or more of a basic user? No matter how you answer that question, it's a really good idea to stay updated on some of the more basic tips for Windows. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to continue our series on basic Windows tips. Stay tuned. Last week, we covered 10 basic tips for Windows 10 and 11. And this week, we're going to do part 2. Unfortunately, there was just too many tips to fit into one video, so I broke it into 2 videos. Even though these videos are just covering basic tips, it's still a good idea to keep yourself updated on the basics as well as the advanced. I would consider myself an advanced user of Windows, and I actually had a hard time putting these videos together. And that's because as an advanced user, I don't spend much time getting caught up on a lot of the available basic features from within Windows. A good example of this is in the last video, I showed you how to launch the emoji viewer from within Windows. And until recently, I didn't even know an emoji viewer existed. So sometimes it's a good idea to slow down and go over some of the basics. And that's what we're going to be doing today. But first, we got to pay some bills. So check out today's sponsor. Is your copy of Windows 10 unactivated? Well, it doesn't have to be, because with today's sponsor, VIP SCD Key, you can get a valid Windows 10 license for under $20. Stop dealing with that stupid watermark on the desktop, the valid license for Windows 10. Also, with an activated copy of Windows 10, you can upgrade to Windows 11 for free. Just go to the link in the description below and pick up a valid Windows 10 license key. During checkout, use the code CYBERCPU for a 25% discount. Once you have your key, go to your activation settings in Windows 10 and click on the link that says Change Product Key. Enter the product key you just purchased and hit Activate. Now you don't have to deal with that stupid watermark that come with running an unactivated copy of Windows 10. Now, on with the video. Well, what do you say we jump on the computer and get started? Okay, so just like last week, we're going to jump in on Windows 10 here. I'm doing this video on Windows 10 just like I did the last one, but these settings should also apply to Windows 11. There just might be different ways in order to get to certain settings and stuff like that. And if you have problems finding any of that stuff, go ahead and mention it in the comments below and I'll try to help you out with it. So the first thing we're going to do is look at just the basic look of Windows. And this is a common feature, but I don't think a lot of people really take the time to see how many options you have available to you when it comes to the look and feel of Windows. So the first thing we're going to do is click on Start and go ahead and open up Settings. And then from Settings, we're going to go into Personalization. And this entire section right here gives you all kinds of different settings in order to personalize your experience with Windows. So the first one we're going to do is simply change our background. So as you can see right here, we have a lot of different backgrounds available. So if we click on a different picture right here, it will change our background to represent whatever picture it is that we chose. Now, if you have a specific picture that you want to change to that isn't in these, all you'd have to do is go ahead and hit Browse, and you can browse for that picture in your Pictures folder or wherever else you store your pictures. Also, another thing that you need to keep in mind is how the picture is actually displayed on the screen. As you can see, I have mine currently set to fill. So if I was to change this to tile, it would change it to a more tiled picture. And as you can see, this picture is pretty big compared to the resolution my screen's set at. So all you can see is the top of the picture. So if you ever have a situation where a picture doesn't fill the entire screen, or it comes out like it does right here, all you have to do is choose the fit to represent what you actually want it to do. So in my case, I typically use fill because fill will essentially fill the screen the best way it can. And there's a few others too. You can also go to fit, which usually does about the same thing. And then you can also change the background color as well to represent whatever color you want the exposed portions of the background to be. And then you can also go down to stretch, which will stretch the picture to fit the screen. However, if your picture happens to be a different resolution than your current screen resolution, then this can distort the picture in some cases. And then if you go down to center, it essentially just centers the picture in the middle of the screen. And then if you go down to span, it will span the picture across the screen. They're pretty self-explanatory. I usually use fill. That's usually the best option, but you can kind of go through there and see which ones match your preference the best. Now, the next thing I want to go down to is the color settings. And the color settings, I typically like a light color for the Windows default app mode, and then I like a dark color for the Windows default mode. However, you can change these either way you want. If you chose light here, then the Windows portions are going to be light, and if you choose dark, then the apps themselves will be in dark. Or you can also do the same. You can go to dark for everything, or you can also go to light for everything if you wanted to. But on mine, I usually stick with custom and then usually use dark for the Windows mode itself. But the nice thing about being able to choose between all these settings is that you can choose what fits your preference the best. Now the next one we're going to go down to is the lock screen. And what this will give you the option to is to change the background on your lock screen. Now if you don't want to use Windows Spotlight, then you can always go down and you can use just a regular picture if you wanted to. Or you could even use a slideshow of multiple different pictures. Currently mine's set to my pictures directory, but you can add a folder if you want and remove folders if you want to as well. Now if you pick Windows Spotlight, what this will do is it will give you a different image that change based on kind of every few days you'll get a different picture for your lock screen. This is the one I usually leave it on because I kind of like to see new pictures occasionally. Now the next one we're going to go down to is themes. And themes, this essentially allows you to change all different aspects from within Windows, like different colors, lock screen settings, background settings, things of that nature, even mouse cursor settings, as well as sounds. And then once you get all of these configured, you can actually save themes as well too. Like for instance, right now I've got this background. I've got my color set to a default blue, and this is essentially your color from down here, as well as your different light or dark mode colors. And you can also change your mouse cursor. So if you want your mouse cursor to be a different style cursor, you can do that from within here as well. And you can also change all of your Windows sounds, which we actually went through this in the last video if you want to see how to change all of these sounds and things like that. But once you get everything set up the way that you like it, you can simply push Save Theme right here, give the theme a name. So I'm going to give mine my theme, and then go ahead and hit save, and it will save it here. So if whatever reason, if you decided to go to a default Windows theme, which right here, this is the default theme for Windows 10, and you wanted to go back to your original theme, all you would have to do is click on the saved theme, and it would change all of these different aspects back to what you had before. And then from here, there's lots of different other settings that you can go through as well. You can change your fonts from within Windows. You can change different aspects of your start menu. So you can either show more tiles on start, or you can show the app list in the start. You can actually turn this off, and then you have no app list. Or you can show more tiles, and it gives you more room to where you can stretch this out if you wanted to. But these are different aspects of the start menu that you can kind of play around with and choose what you want. You can even use a full screen start menu, which I'm not as sure exactly why you would want to, but it makes it look kind of like Windows 8. So some people might like that. Personally, I don't. And then if you go down one more, you can go down to taskbar, and this will allow you to change different aspects of the taskbar itself. I'll go ahead and let you look around and play around with these settings yourself and see which ones fit you the best. So as you can see, there are a lot of different ways that you can customize Windows to match your personality. However, if these settings are just not enough for you, then check out some of my other videos, because I have some much more advanced videos in changing the look of Windows, and some of them are pretty good. Anyway, let's get back to it. Okay, so the next tip that I'm going to show you is actually a really simple one. And this one, we're going to talk about the print screen and the snipping tool. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to go down into Start. We're going to click on Settings. We're going to go over into Ease of Access. And then from Ease of Access, we're going to go down to Keyboard. So you're going to have to scroll down until you find Keyboard here. And then from Keyboard, what you're going to want to look for is scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see this print screen shortcut. And essentially what this uses is it changes the function of the print screen button to be your screen snipping button. And if you check that, what you can do is you push your print screen button, and what it does is it opens up the snipping tool instead of just copying the screen like it normally would. So I'm going to go ahead and copy just this section of my settings right here. And then once I let go, it will copy just that section into the clipboard. And to show you what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up Paint. And then from Paint, we're going to go ahead and hit Paste. And as you can see, it just pasted that little section that I copied with the snipping tool. Now, this one here, I think is a really helpful tip, because honestly, a lot of times when you take a screenshot, you really don't need the whole screen. You're just trying to get a section of the screen, and this allows you to do that without having to crop it later on. And it's pretty helpful. Hopefully it was helpful to you too. Let's get to it. Okay, so the next one we're gonna do is just show you how to take a basic screenshot without having to go through all this stuff. And essentially what you would do is you would hold down the Windows key while you're pushing print screen. So if you hold the Windows key down and hit print screen, you'll see the screen kind of flash dark for a minute there. And then if you go down into your pictures folder, we'll go ahead and do that real quick right now. We'll go into screenshots. And as you can see, I've got several screenshots here. But if we open up this one right here, you can see that this is the screenshot that we just took. And this way, it didn't require us to paste it into another program and then save it that way. It just saves a picture of your screen. It's that simple. So hold down Windows, print screen, if you want to just take a screenshot. Okay, so the next one that we're gonna do is actually a really cool tip that I've actually never played with before. I knew it existed, I just never took the time to actually play around with it. So let me show you what it is. And this is essentially making shortcuts for different applications. So for this, I'm gonna go ahead and drag Chrome out to my desktop so we can use this as the application that we're gonna use as an example, but you can do this with any application that you want. And essentially all you do is you go ahead and right click on the icon, go down to properties, and then right here where it says shortcut key, just go ahead and type in whatever key combination that you want. If I was to put in C for Chrome, Control-Alt-C would be the shortcut. Now keep in mind, for this right here, Control-Alt is going to be on everyone because it distinguishes these shortcuts from other Windows shortcuts and makes it so you don't have any conflicting shortcuts. So in this case, if I hit Control-Alt-C, it should launch Chrome. Let's see if it works. Okay, so once you choose your shortcut, just go ahead and hit OK. And now I'm gonna hit Control-Alt-C and it should open Chrome. Now moving on to the next tip, I'm gonna go ahead and close this. And the next one is going to be Clipboard History. Now this one here is a really helpful tool because if you go into, let's just type in Note for Notepad. Now if I type in, let's type in my name here, and then we'll type in my YouTube page. And then if I want to, I can go ahead and highlight this and copy it, and I can paste it just fine. However, if I highlight this one and copy it, and then go down and paste it, it pastes just like you would expect. But now let's say I want to paste the original one again. Well, the problem now is that I have to go and copy it again in order to paste it. But there's a better way to do this. Let me show you how to do it. So what you do is you hold the Windows key and you push the letter V. And by doing that, it gives you the clipboard. But unfortunately, right now the clipboard history isn't turned on. So all you have to do is just push turn on and it should turn on clipboard history. And as you can see now, it takes what you have in the clipboard and it highlights it there. But now if I go down here and I hit copy, and the same thing if I hit the Windows key V, now it gives me all the different options that I have, like I have rich or cyber CPU. So if I click on one of them, I'll get that one. If I click on the other one, I'll get that one. Now this seems really basic. However, this one here is an extremely helpful tip and it makes your computer act a lot more like your phone would because most phones, at least if you're using Android phones, I'm not sure if Apple support this, but Android phones have a clipboard history so you can copy several things. In fact, there's often times where I will make the same post on social media repeatedly, so I just keep a copy of it in my clipboard so I don't ever have to type it all out again. It's actually really helpful. Saves a lot of time. I highly recommend doing it. Okay, so the next setting we're gonna go ahead and close Notepad here, and the next thing we're gonna look at is changing default programs. And if you go into your settings right here, and then you go into apps, and then from apps, you want to go into default apps. And essentially this one right here, it'll give you some real basic apps, like for instance, your web browser, your video player, things of that nature. And all you would have to do is click on the different feature, like for video player, if you want. Say I want to use VLC instead of movies and TV. All I would do is click on VLC and it will change the default for playing a video file. Same thing for photos. You click on photos, you can choose a different photo viewer if you want. And it kind of goes down the entire list. And this way you can change whatever default programs are associated with different file types. However, this isn't a lot of stuff. This is like email, maps, music, photos, videos, and web browser. There's a lot more file types within Windows. So if you want to get to more, go ahead and scroll down to the bottom, and then you can choose default app by file type or choose default apps by protocol. So in this case, we're going to look at file type. So if we click on that, it'll give you And it might take a minute to load this right here, but it'll give you every different file extension that's possibly available, at least the ones that your computer knows about. So as you scroll through here, and in fact, some of them you can see that I don't even have programs associated with it. Like the 7-zip file right here, I don't have 7-zip installed, so obviously it has nothing to default to. But it does include about every file format that you could possibly imagine. So as you scroll through here, just find the specific file format that you want, and then from there, you can use that to associate it with whatever program that you want. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close this. Now, the next tip that we're going to look at is the Windows Secret Start menu. Now, you might know about this one right here, and if you do, then good on you. However, some people don't realize that there's 2 start menus from within any modern version of Windows, at least every version since at least Windows 8. However, this start menu, or the secret start menu, essentially has different tools that you can use from within Windows. Let me show you how to use it. So everybody knows the standard start menu just by clicking your left click button to open the start menu. However, go ahead and try to right click the start menu, and from that you'll get the secret start menu, and this one will give you different options from within administering a Windows computer, like your device manager, your network connections, your disk management, things of that nature. It'll also let you jump into settings, your file explorer, your task manager, and things like that. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at, in fact, we'll get there through the secret start menu. We need to go into settings, and then the next thing is we want to go into search. And then from search, we want to go into searching Windows. And now, by default, your computer is typically set up to use a classic search. However, you can switch it over to an advanced search, and this will allow your computer to crawl different data that you have in place. Like, for instance, even text within a document if you wanted to. So by switching it over to advanced search right here, it'll give your computer a lot more areas in which to be able to search different documents and things of that nature. If you have a lot of different documents, this could take a little bit of time in order for it to go through all of them. However, it's really helpful, and it'll give you a more accurate search. Okay, so the next tip that we're going to look at, we're going to go ahead and completely change gears now, and I'm going to show you how to pin different applications to different parts of your window. And this one right here has been covered quite a bit, so you should know about it already, but it's still nice to be able to refresh on it. So what I'm going to do is I got 2 different apps right here, and let's say I want to take this app and I want to pin it to the side of the screen. All you would do is grab the app, move it over to the side, and hold it like that, and it will pin it in place. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and click on the app that was open next to this one, and if you click on that one, it will pin it right next to it. Now, there's different ways that you can do this as well. Like, for instance, you can take an application and pin it all the way to the top instead, or all the way to the bottom instead, just like that. You can also grab your application and then pull it up to the top of the screen, and it will pin it full screen like that. Now, when it comes to this tip right here, this tip is going to be a lot different between Windows 10 and 11. You know, like I said, most of these tips will work in 10 and 11. However, in Windows 11, Microsoft has enhanced the pinning of applications to an extreme degree. So I would actually look at Windows 11 and see some of the different options you have available, because there's a lot more in Windows 11 than there is in Windows 10. However, everything I just showed you will still work in Windows 11. You just have a lot more options as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is cleaning up some of the garbage that's on your computer. So for that, we're going to go ahead and close some of these things that we have open. We're going to click on the Start menu. We're going to go into Settings, and then from Settings, we want to go into System, and then from System, we want to go down into Storage. And then from here, you're going to have to give it a minute, because it's going to have to go through and look at all of the different areas in which things are located. And as you can see, for temporary files, I've got 40 gigs wasted right now in temporary files. So if you want, you can go ahead and click on that, and it'll show you exactly how these different things are categorized. Like, for instance, the vast majority of that 40 gigs is all sitting in my recycle bin. I've also got Windows Update Cleanup, which is 2.3 gigs. I've got delivery optimization files, which is 100 megabytes. I've got thumbnails, Microsoft Defender antivirus, temp files. So essentially all these different temp files right here. Then what you could do is go through, select the different categories you want, and then push remove files. And it'll go through and it'll remove all of those files and kind of help to save a little bit of space for you. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead while this is working, and then we'll move on to an alternative way to do the same thing. So let me show you that alternative way. I'm going to go ahead and close Settings right here. I'm going to click on Start, and I'm just going to type Disk Cleanup. And it should show up on your start menu right here. And when you open this up, this is an older way of essentially doing the same thing that we just did. And as you can see through this list right here, there's all different kinds of options. You can go downloaded program files, which at the moment is 0. We got temporary internet files, which is a couple megabytes. And you can kind of scroll down and you can see some of the different options. And recycle bin is included, and I've got 40 gigs sitting in my recycle bin. However, the nice thing about using disk cleanup instead of the Windows settings to do this is you can actually clean up system files as well. So if you click on that, it'll go ahead and open up a more advanced version of this program. It might take a second to do that. So we're going to go ahead and give it a second to finish, and then I'll get back to it when it does. Okay, now that it's had some time to scan all those files, we can go ahead and look through here, and you can see a couple of different options available, like for instance, Windows Defender antivirus temp files, which you did have available in settings before. But if you scroll down, you can see a lot of different things as well. You can see the temporary Windows installation files, you can see your different thumbnails, your different temporary directories and stuff like that, which are located in different parts of the computer. And you can kind of go through and you can decide which things you need and which things you don't need. Now, typically, you can pretty much check whatever you want in here, and you shouldn't damage anything on the system. You should be able to go ahead and delete all of this stuff without any repercussions. Okay, so far, that's 10 tips. However, I did promise you a bonus tip. At least, I think I did. Did I forget to say that at the beginning of the video? Anyway, if you stuck around this long, then you deserve to see a bonus tip. So I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so this bonus tip is extremely easy. However, if you didn't know it existed, then you're really going to like the fact that you know now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type Notepad as an example for this one. So within Notepad, I'm just going to write my name right here. And say I want to print this. Well, normally you would just go to File and Print to print it from a normal printer. But let's say you want a PDF document and not just a regular hard copy. Well, if you hit Print, you can go ahead and you can select Microsoft Print to PDF instead of your regular default printer. And by doing that, you hit the print button and it'll just open up a Save As dialog box. So from here, we're going to go ahead and hit Desktop, and I'm going to type Example as the name, and then go ahead and hit Save. And then from there, as you can see, we're going to go ahead and hit Don't Save. As you can see right now, here we have an example. However, this example is opening up by default in Edge. And we don't want that. So let's go ahead and use one of our other tips that we did earlier. We're going to go into Apps. We're going to go to Default Apps. And then we're going to scroll into Default Apps by File Type. And then from here, we're going to let it load for a minute. And then we're going to go ahead and search for PDF. So if we scroll down right here, we should be able to find our PDF documents. Might take a minute to find, but we should be able to find it. It's all in alphabetical order, so just essentially scroll down until you find P's. And there we go, there's PDF, opens in Microsoft Edge. So if we click on that, it'll give us a bunch of different options. We can select Chrome, or in this case, I've got Foxit Reader, so we might as well open it in that. And then by changing that, you'll notice that once we close this, the default has been changed as well. And if I open the file will open in Foxit Reader, just like it was. There's my name. So hopefully these tips were helpful to you. Make sure you mention in the comments below which one of these were your favorite. Also, if there's something you think I should have added, let me know in the comments below. It seems like every couple of months I do a Windows tips video, so chances are if you share something new with me, it'll probably be included in a video in the future. Also, if you like videos like this, then check out this one where I go through 10 other tips for Windows 10 and 11. Those ones are a little bit more advanced, and that video is 2 parts as well. As always, you guys have a great day.